Welcome to week 8 of the 52-week art journal journey. This week we're going to do a little more talking about boundaries like we did last week in our Mending Hearts video. You'll need your journal, of course, and we are going to play with the paints again. You will also need some masking tape or artist tape if you have it. If you don't have either of those, you can use electrical tape, which you can watch me use later in this video. First, you will need to make a frame around this week's page, and then make some smaller frames within it. I like this narrow masking tape better than I like wider tape. So now comes the time to just have some fun with paint. So boundaries. We're talking about boundaries again this week because they really are important, both to our healing, as we talked about last week, and to our health. I do need to clarify something I said about forgiveness last week. I did say that forgiveness doesn't mean letting go of necessary boundaries, and it doesn't necessarily mean having the same relationship with the person who hurt you if you forgive them. But that forgiveness does mean letting go of our need to punish someone for the way they've hurt us. What also needs to be said is that letting go of our need to punish does not obligate us to protect that person from natural consequences of their actions or legal consequences if it's that type of harm. Forgiveness isn't pretending that nothing happened. And as I mentioned last week, we need to remember that we can't fix anyone. We can't heal others' pain. We can't change their behavior. We can shield them from consequences, but that is counterproductive. Letting someone take advantage of you keeps them from taking responsibility for themselves. So now that we've talked a little bit again about the importance of boundaries, let's talk about our art a little more. As you can see, this week, we're back to kind of having a free-for-all. Paint any way you feel. You can go for a certain effect or just experiment. Be sure to try out different things around your house to see what interesting effects you can create with them. For this painting, I used different types of paintbrushes and a sponge. If you dampen it a little, it works best with the paint. And I used the end of a straw from a milkshake I had decided to indulge in. As always, I also used my fingers. In past videos, we have used cotton swabs and toothpicks. I've used wadded up paper towels similarly to the sponge. This week I wanted to try out rolled up aluminum foil rolled across the paint, but I didn't get to that one. Plastic wrap is another non-traditional art supply that I haven't yet tried, but I'm looking forward to. If you try out things like that, not only would I love to see your results, you probably would want to wait a bit between layers. The way I'm working today, it doesn't really matter if things get blended together. In fact, that's kind of part of what I am doing. But if you'd like to maintain more of the interesting textures you create, you might need to be a little more patient than I was with this painting. The tape in today's project isn't the perfect analogy for the boundaries we need in life, but it is an interesting illustration of how boundaries can make things in our lives more beautiful, more interesting, more manageable. They reduce the chaos and protect us. Sometimes even the really good things we do can be too much. We need to learn when to say no. The art of establishing and maintaining boundaries is imperfect. And as you can see, as I pull this tape off, it's not coming off perfectly. And at first that bothered me. I wanted to find better tools to use to create this artwork. But at the same time, it works, doesn't it? Because we're imperfect. As I say over and over again, I am well familiar with my imperfection and perfectly willing to admit it. And I haven't been great with establishing boundaries always. And I have come a long way in my ability to say no. No to things that seem good or that I may enjoy. But they just don't fit, either with my other current obligations without exhausting me, or move me closer to where I want to be. Learning to say no and setting those boundaries on our time and our obligations can be very hard. Any type of boundaries, as the tape coming off my page, may need some work as we go. And I decided to take these loose pieces and repair them with some glue. Life is not without the need to reassess our obligations and our boundaries and our relationships. Is there an area of your life that feels overwhelming? Something in your life that just doesn't fit? Is there something that hurts? That hurts in a way that seems beyond necessary or worthwhile? Maybe you have an obligation that detracts from things that are more important, even things that may not seem more important, but have a more personal impact on those you care about or your own health. Think of a situation in your life where you're pretty sure you need to be establishing some more or different boundaries. That is what we're journaling about this week. Remember, when you start your artwork, as we do every time we make something one-paged that has to dry. If you're right-handed, paint on your left page, and if you're left-handed, paint on the right page, so you can write without running your hand through your wet paint. You can also turn your journal and work horizontally instead of vertically, which is what you can see I've been doing. And take some time to journal about something in your life that needs to change. Maybe it is an area that needs new or stronger, or the first ever boundaries. Maybe you need to let go of something, either in that area or in another area. What, if anything, do you need to say no to allow you to make the most of your time and your energy and your resources. Before you accuse me of muddying the water, I'm going to bring up another important consideration when we're talking about things we should let go of or say no to. You know, those things that we'd really rather not do, not have to deal with, but they just seem necessary. It could be your job, or it could be family obligations. I wrote about this on my old blog several years ago in relation to dealing with holiday stress. One thing I have learned is that when we go into something feeling like we have no choice, that we have to do it, it probably will be harder than if we accept the fact that we actually do have some say in the matter, that we really do have a choice. We made the choice to do this thing that we'd rather not do, but feel like we have to. When we think about the alternative and we think about the consequences of the alternative, we really have decided that to follow through on the action or obligation is better for some reason than not. We made a choice, even though it felt like and feels like we don't have a choice. We did make the choice, and we continue to do so. Accepting that we had that choice, but we've chosen based on the potential outcomes, is empowering. It's freeing. It's relaxing. It can make those hard things so much easier. So maybe in your situation, the way to take control is to accept that this is something you believe is worth doing for whatever reason, and it's your choice. You're not being forced to do it. You have chosen this based on all of the evidence. You've decided it was the best choice, even though you don't particularly like how it feels. But swinging back around to boundaries, there may be different ways in which you do this particular thing. Different boundaries you need to set up within the confines of your choice. And the other possibility is it just needs to go. I keep saying that I'm telling you things that I know aren't easy, and I'm going to be saying that again. If wisdom and discernment were quick and easy to come by, life would be a whole lot less messy, wouldn't it? For the first part of today's journaling, write about a situation in your life you would like to see change. First, just write about it. You don't have to analyze where your responsibility lies or anything like that yet. Just write about the situation and let how you write about it evolve naturally. Don't force it. Just write what comes to your mind and heart. You may find yourself writing toward an answer. Maybe not a complete answer, but you might write yourself toward at least your first step in taking control, ownership, responsibility for what you can control in this situation. Which is part of the reason you shouldn't force what you're writing. You don't want to convince yourself of a wrong course of action just because it's the course of action you think would feel better. As we go further in our 52 weeks, we will journal about what's important to us, who we really are. And as we do that, as we think about how we want our life to look and the people we want to be, it will help us make those decisions about what we should do or not do easier. I'll be back next week with another video. Please like, share, and subscribe. More importantly, be sure to regularly take the time for creative self-care.